All right, everyone. Yesterday in Dublin, there was a mass stabbing incident where a presumptive migrant stabbed 5 people and in the end was actually stopped by a Brazilian delivery driver hitting him in the head repeatedly with his helmet. That's apparently what happened. They reported initially that this was suspected to be terrorism related, as the Irish media and police. That's original. The commissioner, by the way, hasn't ruled that out yet either. Although the Irish broadcasts have come out and said, no. He was suffering a psychotic episode. I think I know why, too. Probably because protesting had begun and people are wasted because it's Ireland, and so they figured that there was probably going to be hooliganism there. Now, I like how they call it far-right riots. Have you seen the reports on this incident? It's not, well, 5 people were stabbed, we would like to know exactly why this happened. In a generally safe country like Ireland, it's not the most violent place in the world. It's not fucking Mogadishu. Why is this happening? No, they're not saying that. They're talking about the riots and how the far right is so violent. Yeah, somebody stabbed 5 people on his own before again getting beaten to the ground by the Brazilian delivery driver. But no, it was just a psychotic episode, and the far right misinterpreted the information. They're literally using the term misinfo, despite the fact that the original claim that it was possibly terrorist related came apparently from the fucking Irish police themselves. So since one of 2 things is true. Either the original report, which invoked terrorism and possibly an asylum seeker or something, a refugee or whatever, if that is true, then their follow-up is ass covering. If it's not true, and the psychotic break story is not true, it's all messed up. If he was actually doing a terrorist thing, then you're trying to lie to the public retroactively, sort of to cover your tracks, mainly because riots broke out. And if you do own up to it in the end, I mean, you've lied to people. And if not, then you got a serious problem on your hands now, don't you? It doesn't really matter the composition of the people that decided to protest/riot after the fact. What should be focused on is the initial crime. Why did it occur? What's the actual reason? Are you bullshitting people to save face or not? And that should be what's being reported on. Instead, you have a condemnation of people that were angry about the fact that this wasn't stopped quickly enough in this chain of stabbing incidents involving small children mainly. I think there was one adult woman with her child, then there were a couple other kids, and then there was another one, and then the Brazilian driver, I guess, beat him up. But no, let's assume that everyone that rioted was far right. It could only possibly be anti-immigrant sentiment. It couldn't possibly be that people want little kids not to get stabbed. I like Dan Wokeness's point on it. Hey, welcome to the far right. You don't want little kids to be hurt. I think that that's usually a unifying feature in a society. I'm assuming that there are probably some liberals, by the way, who are, even if you want to blame this mainly on hooligans and say, okay, these are the soccer gangs that are looking for an excuse to pop off and punch a cop or something. Do you think that everyone that watches sports ball is far right? I'm supposedly far right. I fucking hate sports ball, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Maybe it's just an Irish thing. No, these aren't far right rioters. These are just rioters. Yeah, far right. They were taken in by disinfo and therefore are far right. I mean, the reporting makes no sense and the tone is really off. I think there'll be more protests the next night. Hopefully more peaceful, but I think that there'll be some problems. It looks like the state is lying to the Irish people, either to keep the peace because it fucked up, because its original claim was false, or because its original claim is true, they're ass covering and they don't want it to get out. That's basically, they triggered a bunch of riots on their own. It did not require hooliganism or a far-right faction for that to exist. People get angry when kids get hurt. But the reporting is depraved. It's so propagandistic. I can go on through all the news articles. Like I looked it up, the Dublin stabbings, and then the Dublin riots. What do I see? The stabbings rarely even mention the purported nature of the individual who did the stabbings. Just reiterating the possible ass covering that someone had a psychotic episode and hurt some kids. And then the second level of reporting is far-right riots break out across Dublin. dozens injured and dozens of businesses burned down. So a fiery but mostly peaceful protest. Where's that headline? I bet I'm not going to see that one. Fiery but mostly peaceful. It's the winter of love. The Irish are just expressing their love for the immigrant community when they burned down Wendy's. This would be, you remember the George Floyd riots and so forth in the United States. You remember the reporting on that. It was like a love fest. Like that fiery but mostly peaceful, with the image of the CNN reporter standing in front of the Wendy's where people are destroying the windows and literally actively burning it down, has gone down in history as one of the most propaganda-heavy images in all of history. Also one of the most self-refuting ones. Are we going to get that kind of reporting here? It seems like you're getting it in reverse. That's interesting. Because of the purported political mindset of the people that are doing the protesting/rioting, they don't get covered for. No, they're just dirty hooligans who believe disinformation campaigns against immigrants. They're ignorant, basically. This is whacked. I haven't seen, since the George Floyd era, pertinent to at least protest and rioting and activities similar to that, I haven't seen this level of a wave of propaganda. It makes me think that the Irish police and state are covering for themselves. Again, they either put out the actual and factual reason for this first, so it was a terror or similar related incident, in which case they're ass covering because they cover for illegal immigration and things like that. Or they're ass covering because they were inaccurate about that. He really did just have a psychotic incident, but they're the ones that put out that information in the first place. They were the ones that alluded to it hours before, triggering riots, which means that the Irish state triggered a riot in Dublin. One of the two is true. Either way, they're the ones that are culpable. But just keep believing that these are just a bunch of ignorant drunks that have decided to burn their city to the ground for absolutely no reason. That's basically what the news appears to want you to believe. Well, I don't believe it. That's about all. Peace out.